Hello all my friends in Texas and Oklahoma, Arkansas, and around the South. This is the Blue Water Outlook, Weekly Water Outlook. Well, it's certainly been a very trying time over the last couple weeks for folks in the Midwest and the South, particularly Oklahoma, parts of Arkansas, Missouri. Each day this week, I've put up the severe weather plots. Green are hail, blue are wind, and red are tornadoes. And you can see the cluster almost every day somewhere over the Midwest or the South. Oklahoma's certainly been hit the hardest. I'm actually working on a study right now I hope to get out this week or next as far as the changes in soil moisture and water resources due to severe weather. But you can see here that we really had a very trying time over the last couple weeks. At least this week, it looks like most of the severe weather was north of Texas, a scattering dip down into North Texas, Northwest Texas. But for the most part, Oklahoma, Arkansas, into Kansas was a hot spot this week. Now, if you're a regular listener of Blue Water Outlook, and I know you are, you note that I talk about the jet stream a lot, and that drives these precipitation patterns. This is a jet stream over the last week, and I wanted to show you here. The blue are the core of the highest winds, and these are what we call wind barbs, or the direction of the wind. So this is how the jet stream came over the last week. And when you have this strong jet stream digging out of the southwest coming up in this direction, it does two things. It provides extra atmospheric energy to fire up these thunderstorms, and then it produces very strong vertical wind shear that gives you the cyclonic rotation that can produce tornadoes. And we had both this week, and that's why we had such widespread severe weather outbreaks over parts of the South and the Midwest. So here's the precipitation that fell over the last week. Sort of interesting here in Oklahoma. Look at these two paths here of heaviest rain, and these are tracks of 6 inches or more of rainfall. You can see one track came up this way and one track came this way. And that was showing these individual tracks of thunderstorms. And we're going to be seeing that a lot more for the rest of the summer months, very different than the patterns we saw in winter. We're going to see tracks of thunderstorms and thunderstorm clusters much more than widespread synoptic scale type rainfall patterns. Now, if we look at those paths over the last week, we see parts of southeast Kansas, fairly good part of central and eastern Oklahoma, and northern Arkansas really experienced the heaviest rainfall. As we got into western Oklahoma and most of Texas, the rainfall was much lighter. Now, over the western part of the state of Texas, I know this was a very welcome rain for my subscribers in these areas here. I know some of them produce very heavy rainfall in spots, but at the same time, most of this rain, that green represented an inch or so, that was definitely very much needed in those areas. So we look at the percent of normal precipitation. Blue is above normal, red is below normal, and you can see the tracks of those thunderstorms once again very clearly in the percent of normal rainfall. And again, it's very welcome to see over South Texas to see a couple areas of blue indicating above normal rainfall in those areas. It's been a while since we've seen that. Now, I'm going to be talking a bit more about excess or deficits of rainfall, and this is a departure from normal. The areas in blue by those thunderstorms indicate anywhere from 2 to 6 inches excess rainfall, and the areas of yellow are reductions in rainfall. So that large area of yellow there is about anywhere from a ½ inch to 1 inch less of normal rainfall, and that somehow will need to be made up in excess rainfall at some point in time, or normal rainfall. So these are sort of the winners and losers depending on the situation. As far as if you're in the Midwest, you'd want areas of yellow, you'd want reductions, but for the most part over Texas, we need more rain, so we'd want extra rain or surpluses of rain, which it looks like we certainly didn't get. Now, you can't see that part of West Texas, those little pockets. Look how small they are, though. It's really something that, even though it was welcome, it was pretty widely scattered. The area gray is normal, and at least that was something that we haven't seen for quite some time in the western part of the state. Okay, so this week, remember last week, the jet stream dipped well into the southwest and brought all that energy into parts of the Midwest. This week, it looks like more of a summer-type pattern. It's going to lift well to the north. It's going to be much weaker. I don't expect nearly the severe weather, and generally a little bit quieter weather over most of the south. This jet stream is going to keep the energy well to our north, at least most of the energy, but there will still be some scattered showers and thunderstorms over the area. Now this is the forecast. It does look like there is a chance of some showers and thunderstorms over parts of Oklahoma and Kansas, mainly eastern sections towards the middle part of the week. But I think over almost all of Texas, over west Oklahoma, west Kansas, south Arkansas, generally below normal rainfall this week, just some scattered, relatively light amounts. And over far south Texas, really not looking like any rainfall at all. So generally much quieter week with the exception of some scattered thunderstorms, again, over Oklahoma. Now I thought you might be interested in looking at week 2. This is the 10th through the 18th, and it looks very quiet over the south. Some scattered thunderstorms over Kansas and Oklahoma, scattered thunderstorms over Arkansas, and Texas looks extremely dry in this week 2 period. So I think we're looking at least a 2-week period of very dry weather over most of Texas, especially that second week. I think in Oklahoma, scattered type precipitation in week 1, probably more isolated to scattered type precipitation in week 2. These are temperature forecast outlooks for week 1 on the top and week 2 on the bottom. And week 1, you can sort of see that green is indicating below normal temperatures, red's above normal, and the core of the warmest temperatures are to our west. The core of coolest temperatures are to our north. So it looks like week 1, we're sort of in that neutral range between the two. And I'd say week 2, it looks like we're leaning more towards that above normal temperatures. So that's the temperature outlook. Week 1, about normal, maybe a little bit above normal over Texas, and then a little bit of below normal over Kansas and Oklahoma. And then week 2, it looks like generally normal or above normal temperatures. So soil moisture outlook through June 9th, you can see the rain this week is going to provide some increases in soil moisture over Kansas and Oklahoma, decreases elsewhere. So the takeaway points for this week's briefing: week 1, some scattered and showers over Oklahoma and Arkansas, not as much over North Texas, and mainly dry over South Texas and western parts of Oklahoma and Texas. Week 2, once again, isolated or scattered storms over Oklahoma, mainly dry elsewhere. So we're sort of getting in a normal summertime pattern over northern parts of the South, Oklahoma and Kansas, and a dry period over southern parts, most of Texas. Now, I'm going to be putting out a lot of information this week. My newsletter comes out tomorrow. I have a lot of information that you might be interested in about long-term droughts and feedback loops for the summer months. I'm going to be issuing a special update for the South region later this week as well. So keep tuned to that information, and I will be updating this briefing again later this week.